Hi guys, so I want to show you this interview with a man called Chris who represents part of the oyster fishing industry in the UK. Now Chris is going to admit that he voted for Brexit, but the Brexit that he was expecting is different, or was different, to the one that Boris Johnson delivered. Let's hear what he had to say.
Chris, I don't know where you were personally on the issue of being in, yes or no to leaving the European Union, but certainly those advocating Brexit held up fishing as an example of an industry that could immediately benefit.
It's been well mooted. Fishing was the poster boy of the Brexit campaign, and the majority of fishermen, myself included, voted to leave the EU. Now, we didn't vote for what we're currently seeing.
We didn't vote for what we're currently seeing. I'll let him finish in a moment, but what the hell did you expect? What did you vote for? Now, it's understandable that at the time, back in 2016, fishermen were lied to, as they were lied to up until a few months ago. But for me, the most important point is when the UK left, when it was part of the withdrawal agreement, left the single market and the customs union. Now, anything that came after that, these fishermen should have done some research and said, look, if we're outside the single market and the customs union, doesn't that mean we become a third country? Or at least if they didn't know about third country status, how is that going to affect our trade? Yes, we're no longer a member of the European Union. We're no longer part of the single market and the customs union. That means we can catch as much fish as we want, which was one of the things that we were told to the fishermen. It was probably 99%. You can catch as much as you want. And then the rest was 1% was talking about actually selling the fish. But surely if you are in the business of selling something, knowing where you can sell it and how you can sell it would be important. Were none of these fishermen actually looking at other third countries and saying, wait a minute, look at all these other third countries, how much friction there is on the border with the European Union? Surely somebody within the fishing industry would have done a bit of research.
We feel that the deal Boris basically secured at the end of December, 11th hour sort of diplomatic sort of rushing here and there. It was an absolute. It's created shambles within the fishing industry, wider than what the actual oyster fishery that I'm connected in. I mean, it just seems that everything was left to the last minute.
The problem is not the deal. The problem is Brexit itself. The deal only dealt with tariffs. Brexit itself is the problem. This is extremely frustrating to listen to because this man seems to think that the problem is not Brexit, the problem is Boris Johnson's deal. Now, I don't know whether he believes that or he's trying to convince the public of that because he voted for Brexit and he's not admitting that Brexit was a mistake. The problem, I wish I could speak directly to Chris. Chris, the problem is not Boris Johnson's Brexit deal. I know you're angry with Boris Johnson. I think everyone should be angry at Boris Johnson because of what he delivered. But the problem is not Boris Johnson's Brexit deal. The problem is Brexit itself. The UK is a third country now. Because it's a third country, the EU have restrictions on goods coming into the EU, into the single market. That's the problem. Now, a way to resolve this would be for the UK to rejoin the single market and the customs union. Now, I'd like to ask Chris, would you agree with that? Do you think it would be a good idea to rejoin the single market and the customs union? You can still stay out as a member. I don't know what, if Chris would prefer to rejoin the European Union. I think the Labour Party Remainers, we should reach out to people like Chris. Look, we should say it. Chris, you were conned by the con men. You were conned by Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage. They understood that they could lie to you and convince you to vote against your own interests. That's what you did. You voted against your own interests. I don't know how Chris voted in 2019. Did he vote for the Conservative Party? But it's very important to reach out to these people and say, look, you were lied to. The problem is Brexit. Okay? The way to fix it is to rejoin the single market and the customs union. If you do, then the problems you're facing will be eliminated. Now, I'm not saying they can be eliminated overnight, because to rejoin the single market and the customs union would require a lot of time and effort. But what is the alternative?
This is not what we voted for. What we voted for was a better deal than what we've actually got now. It seems like Boris has caved in big time on the fishing industry.
So, caved in on the fishing industry? What did he cave in on? You could cave in on quotas or on catches, if you want to call it that. But that's not your problem at the moment. Your problem is actually the problem is not catching the fish. The problem is selling the fish. What did he cave in on? He didn't give us the deal that we wanted, because he lied to you. He told you you could have your cake and eat it, and now you're not having your cake and you're not eating it, and you're saying, "Where is my cake? Why aren't I eating this cake?" You were lied to, but you're still focusing on the deal. The real problem is Brexit itself.
We seem to be a bit of collateral damage to the deal that he secured. Is whether George says that the goalposts were changed, the net result is we're still stuck. We're still stuck, not be able to go fishing. And the whole entire fleet of sailboats and oyster punts are now tied up, have been for over a month, with no income whatsoever. It's an absolute, and not only that, the merchants as well, who rely on this fishery for their living, for their businesses. They also are caught up as well. They're they're linked in the same manner as what we are.
So, yes, the industry can't sell their fish. It's not so much the boats are tied up because they can't go out and fish. It's because there's no point going out and fishing, because where are you going to sell the fish? Look, I understand Chris is suffering at the moment, and I take no pleasure in that. I think it's unfortunate that he voted for Brexit. I think it's important to reach out to people like Chris and say, look, Chris, let's try and fix this together. Let's force the government to rejoin the single market and the customs union. Once again, I don't know if Chris voted for Brexit for other reasons, but surely if he voted to make the fishing industry better, to improve the lot for the fishermen, fixing this problem by rejoining the single market and the customs union is something that I imagine Chris would support, unless he voted for some other reason, which I have no reason to think so. It's unfortunate that people will continue to focus on Boris Johnson's Brexit deal when in reality the problem is Brexit itself. And I think it's important for us to highlight that, to say, look, Boris Johnson's deal dealt with tariffs. Brexit itself took the UK out of the single market and the customs union, and that is why fishermen and other industries are facing these problems at the moment. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?